We all recognize names like Aragorn and Sauron, heroes and villains whose stories are laid bare from the very beginning. We know who they are, where they come from, and what they want. But what if we told you? There are the others. Shadowed figures who drift through the myths of Middle-earth like half-remembered dreams. Enigmatic, elusive, and sometimes terrifying in what little we do know about them. Their appearances are brief, their motives uncertain, their histories fragmented or totally shrouded, and yet, these characters often hold enormous power, influence world-shaping events, or hint at much larger stories Tolkien never finished telling. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the most mysterious characters in Tolkien's entire legendarium, figures who left behind more questions than answers, and whose true natures continue to spark debates among fans and scholars. Welcome back to the channel. Let's get started with the first character on our list. 1. Tom Bombadil. If we're talking about mystery, we may as well start with the ultimate riddle of Tolkien's world. When Frodo meets Tom Bombadil in the Fellowship of the Ring, he assumes him to be a powerful, but perhaps eccentric woodsman. But almost immediately, Tolkien begins dropping clues that Tom is something far older and stranger than any mortal being. He calls himself Eldest. He claims to remember the world before the first raindrop, before the Dark Lord, before the elves even awoke. And when Frodo offers him the One Ring, Tom casually slips it on his finger, and nothing happens. The ring has no influence on him. No corruption, no invisibility, nothing. That single moment, more than anything else in the book, tells us Tom is a being beyond the music of power, someone outside the conflicts that dominate Middle-earth. And yet, he refuses to take the ring, refuses to involve himself in the war against Sauron. He remains content in his small corner of the world, indifferent to everything beyond it. Why? Some think Tom is a representation of nature, a guardian spirit of Arda itself. Others believe he may even be Ilúvatar in disguise. Tolkien rejected that theory, but never offered his own explanation, stating only that Tom is meant to be an intentional enigma. We can interpret Tom Bombadil in countless ways, but one thing is certain. He is older than the oldest stories, and even the ring cannot touch him. 2. The Blue Wizards. Most people know of Gandalf, Saruman, and Radagast, the 5 Maiar who came to Middle-earth as wizards to help oppose Sauron. But there were 2 more, the mysterious Blue Wizards. The information we have about them shifts depending on Tolkien's later writings. In earlier notes, the 2 traveled into the East and failed, becoming cult leaders or founders of dark sorceries. In later writings, much later, Tolkien revised this entirely. In those later accounts, they succeeded. According to that revised vision, the Blue Wizards journeyed far beyond Mordor, deep into the lands of Rhûn and Harad, stirring rebellions, hindering Sauron's influence, and secretly aiding the West in ways the Free Peoples never knew. They may have stopped entire armies from marching, halted rituals meant to strengthen Sauron's spirit, even prevented some of the darkest magics from ever reaching the West. But here's the mystery. We never learn their true fate. No record of their deaths, no mention of their return, no explanation of their powers or personalities. They vanish into the east like fading stars, their impact immeasurable yet invisible. And that's the terrifying beauty of their mystery. Middle-earth may owe far more to these silent wanderers than anyone ever realized. 3. Glorfindel. Glorfindel is known to casual fans as the guy Legolas replaced in the movies. But in Tolkien's actual writings, he is one of the most puzzling and awe-inspiring figures in the entire legendarium. There are 2 Glorfindels referenced across the First and Third Ages, one who died heroically fighting a Balrog during the fall of Gondolin, and another who appears 6,000 years later in Rivendell during The Lord of the Rings. For decades, readers assumed these were 2 different elves, but Tolkien later confirmed it. They're the same person. Glorfindel was one of the exceedingly rare elves sent back to Middle-earth after death, reborn in Valinor, and returned sometime in the Second Age to help oppose Sauron. This resurrection places him in a category shared only by a handful of legendary beings. And yet, Tolkien never clarified exactly why the Valar sent Glorfindel back. Was it his valor, his purity, his destiny to stand against the shadows rising in the east? Or did Glorfindel possess some deeper significance, knowledge or power tied to the Elder Days, that made him uniquely suited for the coming darkness? We never fully learn, but we do know this. When Frodo sees Glorfindel in the Wraith world, he shines with a light so powerful that the Nazgul recoil in fear. That dazzling radiance, it is the light of someone who has walked in the Undying Lands and returned. 4. The Watcher in the Water. Before the Fellowship even reaches the doors of Durin, they encounter a monstrous, tentacled entity lurking in the black waters outside Moria. The Watcher in the Water. We only see it for a moment, just long enough for it to grab Frodo and collapse the entrance to the mines. But its presence poses one of the most unsettling mysteries in Tolkien's world, because we have almost no idea what it is. Some scholars believe it's a creature of Morgoth from the First Age, fleeing into deep waters after the War of Wrath. Others argue it may be a unique monster, ancient and independent, awakened by the darkness spreading through Moria. Some even suggest it might be related to the Nameless Things. Gandalf mentions awful beings older than Sauron, older even than the elves. And Gandalf's own words make this mystery far more chilling. Far, far below the deepest delving of the dwarves, the world is gnawed by nameless things. If the Watcher is one of those primordial entities, it means the Fellowship brushed against a horror utterly beyond comprehension, something that should never have been disturbed. 5. Goldberry. Like Tom Bombadil, Goldberry, the River Woman's daughter, is an enigma disguised in simplicity. She appears as a serene, almost ethereal figure, welcoming the hobbits with kindness and warmth. But her powers, origins, and true nature remain wholly unexplained by Tolkien. Is Goldberry a Mire spirit of water, a unique being shaped by the river itself, a manifestation of Arda's living essence? Her control over nature feels effortless. She moves throughout the house without a sound. Her presence fills rooms with a quiet but unmistakable magic. And just like Tom, she is utterly unaffected by the ring. When Frodo offers her the ring, she laughs, and refuses to even touch it. It holds no temptation for her, no more than a trinket. Goldberry stands as a reminder that the world of Middle-earth is filled with living spirits far older and deeper than the great wars of elves and men. She is mystery not through shadow, but through serenity, a being beyond classification. 6. The Entwives.
We lost the Entwives.
Oh, I'm sorry.
When Merry and Pippin ask Treebeard about the Entwives, he grows uncharacteristically quiet, and when he finally speaks, his answer is heartbreaking. They are gone, completely vanished. Once, the Entwives tended beautiful gardens along the Anduin. They were lovers of order, of growing things in neat rows and careful patterns, so unlike the wild and wandering ways of the Ents. But during the wars of the Second Age, their gardens were destroyed, entire regions burned, and the Entwives disappeared without a trace. Were they killed? Did they flee into the east? Did they hide and simply never return? Even Tolkien himself never decided. He wrote several possibilities, but no definitive fate. The Entwives' disappearance remains one of the most enduring heartbreaks in Middle-earth, an open wound in Treebeard's memory, and a rare story Tolkien chose not to close. And that unsolved mystery speaks louder than any neat conclusion could. 7. The Barrow-wights. When the hobbits enter the Barrow Downs, they encounter one of the most frightening entities in Tolkien's world, a Barrow-wight. These undead beings are described only vaguely, as cold spirits animating ancient corpses, bound to the graves of forgotten kings. But where did they come from? Tolkien hints that they were sent by the Witch King of Angmar during his conquest of Arnor. Yet these spirits are clearly older and stranger than mere sorcery. The melodies they chant in the dark, the spells they weave, the eerie presence Frodo feels pressing on him. All of this implies a spirit world dimension tied to Middle-earth's earliest ages. Were these spirits once elves, Twisted Maiar? Lost human souls? Or something darker that the Witch King merely awakened? Their origins remain deliberately obscure, leaving behind one of the most chilling questions in the Third Age. What other ancient spirits sleep under Middle-earth, waiting for someone to call them forth? 8. The Nameless Things. Finally, we arrive at the deepest and darkest mystery Tolkien ever created, the Nameless Things. Gandalf himself, one of the wisest beings in Middle-earth, speaks of them only once, and even then with dread. Before even Sauron, he says, they crawled in the dark places of the world. They gnaw at the roots of the mountains. They slither through abysses no dwarf has ever seen. And their nature remains utterly unknown, even to the wise. They are older than the elves, older than the Maiar who served the Valar, perhaps older even than the shaping of Middle-earth itself. In a legendarium filled with gods, spirits, ancient evils, and cosmic histories, this is the one thing Tolkien refused to explain. The nameless things exist in the cracks of the world, as if some foreign darkness seeped in before the first song of creation was sung. They are not meant to be fully understood, and that makes them the most haunting mystery of all. So, who was truly the most mysterious? Is it Tom Bombadil, untouched by the ring and older than the world it seeks to rule? The blue wizards lost in the east, fighting a war no one ever recorded? Glorfindel, who died in the First Age and returned? Or the nameless things, crawling in the dark long before Sauron ever rose? Perhaps the true mystery of Middle-earth isn't any single character at all, but the fact that Tolkien chose not to answer these questions. He left shadows in the story on purpose, gaps where imagination, fear, and wonder could live. Because not everything in Middle-earth is meant to be understood. Some things are meant to be felt and remembered. Leave your thoughts in the comments, and if you want more deep dives into the forgotten corners of Tolkien's world, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss what comes next. Thanks for watching, and as always, see you on the next one.